Keep that. Okay, good morning, everyone. It's the 8th of November. We're approaching the end of the year. And I thought this morning it would be helpful if we get together and discuss plans and strategies for growing our businesses for 2023. Getting real close. And if we really want to start the year strong, we don't begin that process in January. And if we start it in December, we may be a little on the late side as well. I think now is the ideal time to really start evaluating what we're doing. I want to take as the foundation of our conversation today from a mentoring call that I just had moments ago, this past hour, with a member of the team. And I hope my charger is unplugged. 1 second. That what I've learned from this conversation, or what we kind of learned together in our mentoring call, will be worthwhile in laying out some really important frameworks for what you want to accomplish for next year. There was a big aha moment that I had. So, and I want to share that aha moment because I think it's really helpful. So we began the conversation, we were talking about, I had a request to be an accountability partner for a member of my team. And in that process, we began, as we always do, by sharing, what are your goals? What's your vision? What are you wanting to accomplish? And they shared in advance, they came prepared, they knew what they were doing, what their goals were. They shared what their vision was, what they wanted to achieve. And then they drilled down into their daily activities for consistent right behavior. And then they asked a question, and this is the bit that, well, I'll preface the question a little bit. So as you start to map out your plans for 2023, you want to look at, to begin with, your overall vision. What are you wanting to accomplish and why? What is the grand vision of what your business will achieve for next year? What does it look like? Vision is just that. It's something that in our mind's eye, we can see clearly, something that lies ahead in the future that excites us. It's got to excite our emotions. If my vision for the business was to grow by, this is one of the things I used to find terribly frustrating in the corporate world. I know some of you come from corporate backgrounds here. I'm looking at Yoko here. You'll appreciate this. Whenever I have to put business plans together in that space, it was always, what was always expected was an incremental growth of 4% or something like that. Yeah, double digits, getting to 10% growth was like phenomenal and very robust and very aggressive, right? And I just remember going, that just seems very underwhelming. That doesn't really inspire me to put this big plan together, invest millions into a strategy for an increase of 4%, right? That's the vision, right? Not really exciting. So I would always challenge that and have different approaches to building out the plans and vision. But what is your vision? What is it that you want to achieve? What do you see yourself accomplishing? What does your life look like? What does the life of your business partners look like? What are you experiencing differently as a consequence of your business results in 2023? What is it leading you towards? And that might be a better 2024, because of course, you know, a 12-month plan or strategy is certainly not a long-term goal, is it? Yeah, so we've got maybe bigger vision here that we're working towards that goes beyond 2023. So you got your overall vision, which is much more than a short or midterm strategy. It's something far more overarching and more encompassing, but it should evoke emotion. It should get us excited at night and compel us to want to act. If we aren't taking significant action in our business, it's probably because our vision is significantly compromised. What we do is the fruit of what we think, feel, and believe. So if I'm not doing much, if others in my team are not doing much, they're not thinking about it much, they're not feeling it much, they're not believing it much, right? So we've really got to address those three elements. What do I think, feel, and believe about my business that's going to create significant action in me and in those around me? And that's where the vision really comes into full force. So we want to start there with the vision, get that really nice and clear. From there, we start to create our strategy. What are our goals for 2023? What are the actions that I'm going to take and put in place? What What are the resources I'm going to put to my business to make this business work and take me closer to the reality of that vision? Now, this was the big aha moment that I had on my call just moments ago. I asked them to share what their daily activities were. If I'm going to be an accountability partner, what specifically are you going to do on the daily basis that you want to be held accountable to? And so they talked about they're big online business builders. So they talked about things like daily reels, posts, stories on Instagram, posts on LinkedIn and what have you. And they get great results with this, by the way. Literally have thousands of customers that they've developed in this journey that they're doing. They know how to do this side of the business. So they talked about that. They talked about contacting people on a daily basis, developing relationships, and taking them from the cold market into the warm market through relationship building and daily contact and consistent contact, right? And then I was like, okay, well, we need to drill down into this a little bit. How much activity is right? That's the big question for a lot of us, isn't it? I'm doing the right things, but am I doing enough of the right things? I know I should add people to my contact list. I know I should follow up in a timely manner. I know that I should be doing ABCs. I should be hosting presentations. I should be onboarding people. I should be training, following up, and all that kind of stuff. We know all of those types of activities, right? The question is, how much is right? What is the right amount? And that question came up because she said, I'm going to do X amount of posts a day and content creation for my social platforms. And I'm going to talk to, I said, how many people are you going to talk to a day? And she had to think for a little bit. She hadn't thought that through. And then she gave me a number. And she said, what do you think of that number? It was a fairly small number, right? And I said, well, the number depends on one question that we haven't yet answered. You've given a wonderful vision as to what you want your business to accomplish. You've given a great goal that you're committed to achieving, but you haven't answered this one question, and this one question governs everything else that you do here on out. And that question is this: by when? When are you going to get this done by? So your great vision is wonderful. And I've heard it 1,000 times in my mentoring and coaching years, right? In the business. It's huge and it's wonderful and it's ambitious and it's exciting. But by when? That's the big question. When are you going to get it done by? So I want you to think about the vision that you've got in your business for what you want to accomplish. And I want you to put a deadline to it. That deadline changes everything. And I gave her an example. I said, if your goal is to be this wonderful, magnificent size organization that is creating all these success stories within your team, right? And I said, if your goal is to do that before you die, and we don't know when that is, then what that means is I'm going to do my daily consistent activities. I'm going to contact at least 2 people a day for the rest of time. I said, how exciting is that? Well, it's not, right? Does that help you achieve your goal? Possibly, but probably not, right? But you've got no end date. You've got no end in sight, which means immediately I'm not excited about this goal. I am now overwhelmed at giving myself a lifelong commitment to daily activities that may or may not play out. That is not compelling to me, right? If anything, I'm going to quit that very soon, right? Because there is no vision there to sustain it. I said, now, if you were to turn around and say this monumental goal of yours is to be achieved in 12 months, right? Now we put a deadline to it, but it's 12 months. You're here and you want it to be here in 12 months' time. That's huge. Now, all of a sudden, speaking to 2 people a day is pathetic. It's a miserable effort, right? But you've got a 12-month racetrack, right? So what you're saying now is, if you turn around and say, I'm going to speak to 50 people a day over the next 12 months, because I'm now driving to a particular time frame, I said something else starts to happen. Now, that you've got 50, you go, oh my gosh, that's a lot. But it's not until I die. It's not forever, right? That's the overwhelm part. If you say, I'm doing this for 12 months, because in 12 months' time, it's given me this, something else starts to happen. One, it's an increase of effort, but you've got an end in sight. You've now got an end in sight, which also does something else. It now determines what that activity should look like on a daily basis. And it's going to start to generate a focus on certain outcomes and results. Yeah, because now, after a couple of weeks of doing 50 contacts a day, I'm going to be looking at that really keenly and going, how's that working out for me? Right now, all of a sudden, I'm evaluating so much more. I'm now evaluating the contact quality that I'm having. Is the message good? Is it timely? Is my energy right? Because I'm working towards a specific end. In 12 months' time, it's going to look like this. So I'm measuring constantly. I'm constantly evaluating because I've got an end in mind. Now, in the process of that evaluation, I'm going, this needs to change. This needs to change, right? And I'm starting to improve and qualify my activity to get the best outcome. Not only that, but in that short run that you're having here, you're also teaching others what to do. And they're going to start copying the same activity. When you do the right activity in network marketing with the wrong energy, you get the wrong outcome. Contacting people every day, adding people to your list every day is the right thing to do. ABCs and presentations on a weekly basis is the right thing to do. If you're targeting 1 to 2 people a week, your energy levels will be low. When you sustain that for 12 months, you'll get little results to show for it. And what will be the outcome of that? A lack of conviction, a diminished energy. And that's the energy and conviction that you apply to your convincing teaching of others to bring them in. It's not going to work because they feed off of your energy much more than what you're saying. But if you go, for this window of time, I'm doing this, and you start putting in intense effort to get those high numbers with big results in that time frame, you then have a different energy that you bring to the table. Now your conviction is higher. Now you're evaluating. There's a sense of urgency to what you're doing. You're evaluating more, you're adapting more, you're pivoting more, you're improving at a more rapid pace, and others are buying into that, believing it more, and your performance improves. And people copy what you're doing, and they start to replicate. If people are copying you doing 1 person, 2 people a week as your reach out efforts, if they're copying that, you're going to be wondering why we're not getting much results in my business. Yeah. But if they start to copy that change of behavior, you'll start to get more results. And what happens in network marketing when people see that? With more results comes more conviction. Recruitment is a consequence of what we believe. It's not it's not an action, it's a reaction. Yeah. So when people start to see those results coming in, they start to react to it and behave better. See the knock-on effect there? So that one singular question, by when, changes everything. You can be doing the same activities, but in a different amount. You can be doing the same activities, but with a different level of energy. You can be doing the same activities, but with less conviction, or more, or with more energy, yeah, with more duplication or less, all because of that one singular question, by when. If we want to go ease into this, and I know some of us have been here for a long time, so we're going, I've eased in for a long time, I've been here for a while. We need to look at that one question when it comes to evaluating our goals and our strategies to support them. Is the by when question being answered in a way that will deliver results, or does it compromise your performance? That answer changes everything. So you might look at this and say, I've been at the end of a year many times in Nika. I've gone through the process of evaluating my vision. I've gone through the process of setting daily activities and having monthly and quarterly targets and goals. I've done all of this. Yes, yes, yes. Is the answer to this question right when you're doing it? By when? Because like I said, that question changes how much work you put in, how much energy, the level of intensity and urgency, the conviction, the sacrifice, the effort, the belief, the hard work, the level of activity, and as a consequence, a lot of the duplication that may or may not happen as a result of that conviction that you develop. It all stems from that. You can do all the right things, but do it in that quarter proportion over a very long period of time, and you will not get the same results. You could say, theoretically, we could speak to 1,000 people in 12 months or 1,000 people in 5 years. And maybe one person that works a little quicker and does it in 12 months will get the results in 12 months that I'm going to get in 5 years, because we're putting in the same activity and effort. It's just over a different time frame. But does it create the same outcome? Or do you get a different outcome? Does the person that puts in the effort to speak to 1,000 people in 12 months, which is roughly 3 people a day for 12 months, does the person that speaks to 1,000 people in 12 months get a better outcome than the person that spoke to 1,000 people in 5 years, or the same outcome? Certainly not a worse outcome. I'm suggesting that they'll get a better outcome. It's the same activity in a condensed period of time, but it will increase the outcomes, because emotion is contagious. And that's why we live in an environment in NICAN where we consistently want to get together, because it is the belief of others that fortifies and strengthens our own. It's the experience of others that informs and educates us while we learn as we work. Right? It's the success stories of others that encourages us when we hit a dark spot or a rough patch. So it is the interaction of others that really keeps this whole thing working. But we want to get that interaction at the right level. So my big message to all of us today is, as we start to prepare for the new year, and maybe, because this couple were doing was preparing now for a new 90-day push in January to March. January to March was going to be a big push. They're working their business now, but they're preparing the ground for that 90-day push, which means they're not just simply emotionally preparing, they're building their marketing tools, they're getting their messages right, they're building sales funnels and all that type of thing to get themselves into a position that when they kick off in January, everything's in place to go. But they know what they're working towards, they know what they're doing, and they've got a big evaluation experience in April to give feedback to their peer group that they've connected with to make that work. And of course, along with that was this accountability partnership that we're establishing to make sure that they stay on track, that we evaluate properly their performance, we get the results in as they plan, and pivot as we need to in the journey. So yes, let's get the vision established. Let's reevaluate our goals. Let's get things in place so that we can run at the right speed for the new year. But like I said, what we need to do is give serious thought to that question, by when. 2 words, change everything. Because like I said, that goal can be a wonderful goal. If the date is wrong, then our commitment, our daily activity, our energy, our conviction, our sacrifice, the duplicability of everything we're doing all changes with it. So that becomes huge, doesn't it? And I think we give too much attention, we give so much attention, I should say, to vision, goals, and daily activities, but we don't give enough attention to that one question, by when? And sometimes we give a superficial answer. I'm going to say by the end of the year, because by the end of a 12-month calendar window, that's a good time. A quarter, a month. We put that type of measurement in place. But we've got to look at that and go, is that date, is that deadline realistic? Does it excite me? Does it compel me to massive action? Does it create a different level of energy in my business? Or am I just going through the same motions expecting slightly different results? If we're simply going to go through the motions expecting slightly different results, just with a renewed commitment to try a little harder, we're not going to get different results. If we want the different results, if we want the growth, the prosperity, the network, the impact, the change, the check, all of that stuff, then we've got to change the energy that we put into the business. And the energy comes with the volume of work and sacrifice we commit to. And when we're really serious about it, the conviction coupled with consistency will drive us through. Those two things, I'll share this kind of in wrapping up. Yeah, as we talked about their target audience, this was really insightful. When we talked about their target audience, we talked about who they'd gone for in the past versus who they're looking for now, right? And it was really interesting. They said, sometimes we target mums, sometimes we target students, and we go, oh, we want these young guys in because they're, they represent the brand well, don't they? Looks good having these guys kind of winning things and kind of playing the part. And we both agreed that whilst there are some young people that do great, and there are plenty of mums that thrive, that's not the defining attribute of your ideal partner. The ideal attribute is hunger. We want to find people that are hungry for it. That's the driving attribute. And they could be young or old, male or female. They could be of any ethnic mix that comes across the planet. The key driving kind of attribute that we need for them to thrive and prosper in this business is hunger. We want to find people that need it, not just want it a little bit. Sometimes the challenge with the younger audience is they might want it at first blush, but they're not used to the hard work. They might quit a little quicker. Yeah. They might complain a little faster. They might be a little bit more committed to their own goals, to loyal to themselves versus to the bigger picture in the long term, loyal to the short-term rewards versus the long-term outcomes. And so they might be a little bit more impatient. Yeah, I've certainly seen that happen a little bit. Not everyone. I'm not disparaging a demographic here or an age group. I'm just saying there are certain traits and qualities that different age groups will possess more than others. Impatience is a virtue of the young. I think we can all agree to that, right? And patience is more of a virtue of those that are older. But those that are older sometimes get a little bit more hungry because they've had a few knocks and bumps along the way, and they realize success is a little harder to achieve than we first thought. But now they're willing to pay the price because I know what it takes, and I need it a little more now because I'm a little older and I'm not getting there any quicker, right? So maybe there is a bit of urgency that comes in there, but I would invoke an attention to that one quality. Who is hungry? Find the hungry and partner up with them. That's got to be a defining attribute. And then you want to map out what that looks like and how you start to sift them and find them. But when you know that you're looking for hungry people, and you know what hungry looks like because you've experienced it, or you've felt it, or you've got someone in your business that is hungry, you know what it looks and feels like pretty quick. Those that are not hungry, you can feel it. And this is the great thing, again, with that question of by when. When you have a strong commitment to by when you're talking with people with urgency and with ferocious energy, and they're not hungry for it, you feel the difference because you're hungry for it. So the real indicator when you say, how do I know if someone's hungry? You know when you're hungry. When you're hungry, you know what it looks like when you see it. See the difference there? Now, when you're talking to someone that's hungry, oh my gosh, we're kindred spirits. We're going to run at this together. When they're not hungry, you suddenly feel impatient talking to them. Right? We've got to move on. We've got to get going. You're working at a slower pace. I'm in fifth gear here. I'm running because I'm hungry. You're meandering on your Sunday drive in second gear. And you're calling that urgent. Trust me, that's not urgent. I'm tripping over you. Well, you're getting in the way, right? You're going too slow. Speed this up, right? You feel the hungry. You feel the urgency when you're hungry and when you're urgent yourself. And that's why by when doesn't just set the temperature for your business. It doesn't just define the right level of activity. It doesn't just set the pace that gives you more believability and more credibility in your actions. It also helps you to define your target audience. because now it's set you at a pace that creates urgency in you, hunger in you. You're running at that with a different level of feeling. And then you see it in other people when they present themselves. And then you connect. And that synergy starts to ring true. And you develop a partnership that is different. When you don't have that hunger, they're not going to feel. And if you come across someone that is hungry and you're not, they're wanting to do the 5,000 in 12 months versus 5 years kind of a thing, the 1,000 contacts. If they're running at it with a much more urgent pace and you're not urgent, you're not hungry, they will pass you by. Because they're going to be like, I'm not feeling this. I've got goals to achieve. I'm wanting to rock and roll. I'm ready to move. And you're meandering on your Sunday drive. This is a different pace. I'm not in, right? So there's another powerful indicator of the importance of by when. One, it helps you to attract the right person. And if you don't have it, it repels the right person. So we get different results, even if we just change the time zone and say, I'm going to do all of this, but over this period of time, because that's what I'm wanting to manage. Okay, just understand you'll get different outcomes. And maybe that's okay. It's your goal, right? But maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. So I hope this has been helpful today in evaluating what we want to do for 2023, how we feel about our vision, how committed we are to our cause, what we're willing to do, and the consequences of it all, simply by asking that one question, by when, changes everything. Who we connect with, who wants to connect with us, how many people copy and duplicate what we're doing. Yeah, everything kind of changes with that one question. So let's get that question answered. By when? When is it going to happen? And hopefully, I'll say this in conclusion now, hopefully if you have gone through this process a number of times before and you feel maybe a little fatigued or a little browbeaten or a little beaten up by life as you've tried and maybe not gotten there in the past, maybe this time round, rather than going, ugh, here we go again, maybe instead we say, but not this year. Not this year. Maybe this year, I'm going to make a different commitment and I'm going to make it happen. Make this a different year. Don't say, I've been through this before, I've done it before, it's hard, it doesn't work, it hasn't worked for me. Because it hasn't worked in the past doesn't mean it won't work tomorrow. Okay, that's not how life works. Our best is always in front of us. I said to my wife a little while ago, I want to get to the age of 80 plus and have a firm conviction that my best years are ahead of me. I don't want to look back on my 50s, 40s, 30s and say, oh, best years of my life. That will be devastating to me. I want my best years to always be in front. They've always got to be ahead, regardless of how old we are, regardless of how long we've been at something. And if the best is always in front of us, then whatever happened in the past shouldn't anchor us away from our futures. It shouldn't hold us back. Okay, so this year is going to be a better year. It's going to be a new year, a different year, different results. Let's make that so. By when? Let's make it by now. Yeah, and that will change everything. I promise you. Real conviction and commitment to your by when, followed by consistent effort, will get you there. Okay, conviction and consistency will drive it to a strong deadline. So thank you all. Hope this has been helpful. And if you want to bounce your ideas off me, shoot me a note. Let's get in touch. I am out over the next couple of weeks traveling, but I will respond to texts and messages, right? And I will connect when we're back as you've given it a bit more thought and consideration as to what you want to do. But let me partner up and help you. Let's make this next year an incredible one. Make it happen. So thank you very much. We'll see you next month. Take care.